Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I asked each of you to join me on this morning so that we can give you an update on the tragedy that occurred last night in Fairmount Park near Lemon Hill Mansion. You're going to hear from Police Commissioner Bethel. You're going to hear from our Public Safety Director, Adam Gear. Shortly after 10:30 last night, shooting took place in Fairmount Park. 11 people were ultimately injured by gunfire. 2 people, a young man, 21, and a young woman, 23, ultimately perished from their injuries. 9 others were wounded, and all have been treated and are in stable conditions at area hospitals. And 3 of those injured by gunfire are juveniles, and they remain in stable condition. But let me be absolutely clear today. As your mayor, I want to affirm to all of Philadelphia on today that there are no excuses for this. This is a heinous act of violence that was inhumane. No regard for life. We will, in this city of Philadelphia, be unapologetic about making sure that the public health and safety of our city and the people in our city is our #1 priority. When you hear me say no excuses, I don't want anyone to tell me that what occurred in a place and space where families gather on a regular basis to fellowship, people in neighborhoods gather. We will not be held hostage by anyone who decides that they want to get assault-like, war-like weaponry, guns with switches. I hear the law enforcement officials, our police department, they're listening to video and they're listening to the shots being fired, and it's clear, you know, that it's not a handgun. We talk a lot about controlling the flow of illegal handguns, you know, across the nation, in the Commonwealth, and in our city. But this was wartime ammunition that was just opened on Philadelphians and those who are here in our city. I want you to know that I am unapologetic about publicly affirming that we will work with every federal and state partner that is necessary to ensure that those who are responsible are held accountable for their actions. I want to say to the Philadelphia Police Department, to the park rangers, thank you for doing your job to the best of your ability. But here, on today, there are no excuses for this. I want to walk through this for the benefit of someone, somewhere, somehow, attempting to find some words to explain away the cause for something like this. There are no words that you can employ to explain this. This is not normal, and we won't normalize the behavior here in our city. I want to talk about these guns for a second. The Philadelphia Police Department recovered 5,000 crime guns last year, 5,474 to be exact. They made over 2,000 arrests for firearms violations last year, 2,327 firearms arrests to be exact. How easy is it to get a gun illegally and or otherwise in our city? We know that they come in every way imaginable, but we as a city, and now I'm not talking about as a mayor, I'm talking about as a resident on a block. I'm talking about not just as a mother being concerned about my own child. I'm talking about mothers and fathers being concerned about young people who you know are living in circumstances that that affirms for us that life for them is not a crystal stair. We have to look after each other. We have to find a way to not just make sure that we're taking care of our own, but we are all a part of a village. It's the greatest gift that you could ever ask for a person. When I was running for mayor, I'll never forget an interview. They said, Mayor, if there's one thing you could give the people of the city of Philadelphia, what would it be? And I told him I would give people the same thing that saved my life. I would give them a connection, a connectedness to something that's bigger than them as an individual. We are doing it now in every way imaginable. 25, where's Adam Gear? $25 million in anti-violence funding, Councilmember Jones and Councilmember Young. Nearly 8,000 summer jobs being filled by young people through our Career Connected Learning Program. Extended day and extended year. Over 7,000 young people getting before and after school programming at no additional cost. We're proposing to increase that number now. 400 lifeguard positions to fill. Pool maintenance attendant positions, another 400 pool maintenance attendants to fill. 191 recreation centers, 71 swimming pools, over 1,400 athletic fields and courts, more than 110 summer day camps, and over 1,000 staff-led programs, including sports, creative arts, and educational activities. Mental and behavioral health is here for those who have experienced or been impacted by violence and have been traumatized as a result of it. For parents, for caregivers, for people who see and know that a young person is engaged in some kind of activity that they shouldn't be, and or it doesn't have to be a young person, because remember, these were young adults and young people who were impacted. We have a number you can call called 211. We have evening resource centers in neighborhoods. There is no one who can tell me that this city of Philadelphia is not doing what we should do and moving the needle on anti-violence efforts when we have a comprehensive strategy. We don't just think that Police Commissioner Bethel, I don't care how good he and his officers are, we can't police our way out of this. The park rangers can't do this alone. Our approach is comprehensive. It's prevention, it's intervention, and enforcement. But guess what? I will not apologize for calling on our federal partners and our state partners to work with the city of Philadelphia to ensure that those who are responsible for this are held accountable, and for us to do any and everything that we can to make our public health and safety our number one priority. I was thinking about a time that I felt good. And man, I was so proud after the Eagles parade. I saw the pictures. If you didn't see an aerial view of it, you don't really know the magnitude of what we had just experienced. But to see all of those people from across the nation in our city celebrating without any challenges as it related to serious violent acts. Philadelphia, we're going to continue moving with prevention, intervention, and enforcement. Parents, caregivers, we know this is not an easy job. I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather. I know it's tough. We have to know where our young people are. And for those who don't have young people who are in their homes as their children, or they're not raising them, I'm thinking about the young men and women. They were adults to us, but now I know that they were young adults when they were actually doing this. They founded and organized and ran the little league I was a part of, the Oak Lane Youth Association. We need a collective, holistic approach to address this issue. And if there's anybody who's going to stand up anywhere in this nation, in this commonwealth, or in this city and tell you that if the city of Philadelphia would do just this one thing, all of this would be over, they don't know the level of complexity of this challenge. I'm looking at the work we're doing right now. We're tackling housing. CCME, Clancy's back there, workforce development, putting people on a path to self-sufficiency. Someone just sent me, another mayor from another city across the nation, sent me a copy of an article from something called The Economist, a journal called The Economist, saying, look at Philadelphia leading the pack in the nation in a reduction in homicides and violence here in our city. We're not going back to those old stats. We're not going back to those old stats. That means we need all hands on deck. That means everybody has a role. That means, yes, parents need to know where their children are and what they are doing. Yes, that's extremely important. But for those young people who don't come from a perfect nuclear family, and they need some help, and they need to be connected to something that's more powerful than they are, so that they can belong to something affirmative that is essential, but we will make sure that we do it together. I'm telling you, I don't know how long I've been here. That's a little over a year, maybe a year and a half by now. This thing does not get easier. Does not get easier to have to stand before you when something like this occurs in our city, because you can't explain it away. I'll tell you one thing, the people standing here with me as your mayor, I am never going to tire from going to war against the status quo, going to war against lawlessness, and doing any and everything that we have to do to make Philadelphia safer. We're doing it safe, clean, green, economic opportunity for all, the housing, you name it. These people up here are the ones that are working to implement so many programs and supports and opportunities for you. We can't forget that one part of the equation, because we're going to talk to somebody somewhere somehow who will say to you that, we should have been able to do something. Yeah, when the park rangers saw that folks were gathering and the convergence, I just want you to think about this. When I say we're not going to be held hostage, when you think about the convergence, because of social media, at a drop of a dime, where you could get 300 to 500 people in one place that's not planned, and the police department doesn't know, and then they have to try to go and control for it. We have some ideas. We'll talk with Council President Kenyatta Johnson about this, but Councilmember Jones and Councilmember Young, we have some thoughts and some ideas about some things that are not going to be popular. So when you see us making some decisions that are not popular, you will understand why. But we're not going to be held hostage in our city. We have amazing events coming up in here. Philadelphia will be on the world stage. We know how to take care of ourselves. We're leading the nation right now in our significant reduction in crime and homicides. We're not going back to those old stats. You'll hear now from Police Commissioner Bethel.
I got to pause for a moment, let that sink in. I think the mayor's remarks, and I'll let them stand for themselves, and how incredibly I'm supportive of her, but her words, "we are not going back," resonates with us back here, and we will not be held hostage. Just let me give you a recap of what happened yesterday, and you know, from the time that happened, I was engaging with the mayor almost 12:30 at night this morning, but around 6 o'clock yesterday. The men and women, as you already know, we deploy for a myriad of issues that happened over the weekend. One of those are ATVs, car meetups, and most recently dealing with the issue around juvenile meetups, brought in CB more different areas. So we prepare for that. We're also tracking through our intelligence and looking at social media to garner as much information to give us what's going on. There was some activity earlier in the day in certain districts that the men and women were able to dispel and keep moving. Around 6 p.m., the kids are gathering at Smith Playground over at 3500 Reservoir Drive. The officers deploy out there. They're able to address that situation and move those young people along. Later in the day, around 8, a little after 8, around 8:15, 8:17, we received a call from our park rangers and the individual who lives at the site, and men and women respond over there. Have about 5 teams respond over there. They meet with the adults at that location on the hill. They agreed to start shutting down. That being said, we have quite a few individuals on location. Cars are parked everywhere in that area, so it takes quite some time. The officers moved to an outer perimeter to start to move the cars out of that area. We asked the park rangers to block the gate at the mansion, and things are going smoothly. The adults are agreeing, but there's a large number of juveniles now blended within the adults. Around 10:27 is when, unfortunately, we have a significant shooting. I think all of you are aware that we had 11 shooting victims. 2 of those victims were adults, a 21-year-old male and a 23-year-old female. I believe they both were transported to the hospital. The officer on location transported a number of the young people to the hospital, as they were not that far away when the incident went underway. The remaining 9 ages range from 15 to 27, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 2 20 years olds, 21, 23, 27, 21, 27-year-olds. So we have a significant range of ages. And so we are continuing to do an investigation. As you know, when I seen my executive team behind me, we're on location to about 1:30 this morning. The scene, because of, there's no lights up there, it's very dark. My team has been out there this morning. I think we've cleared the scene at this point. We've recovered all the evidence that we have at this point. And now we're moving into our posture now to identify those individuals involved. So we do ask if anyone has any information, 686-TIPS, 215-686-TIPS, to give us any information related to this matter. And so that's what we have up to this point in the investigation. It will be a significant investigation. And unfortunately, we were here last year, as the mayor knew, out in the park around June 14th, when unfortunately we had a shooting out in the park. As a result of that, I've directed my team to increase our posture in the park. Starting this weekend, we will develop a deployment plan that puts us into the park, not to be going after permits and that type of activity, but more importantly, to keep up with the intelligence. Right now, the intelligence is coming through our portal. It's not fast enough. We need to evolve, and so we're going to be putting in a number of different law enforcement assets into the park to identify activity ahead, with the hope that we can stave off these activities before they occur, work with those organizers to be able to stop them before this occurs. But I tell people, and as a young kid growing up in West Philadelphia, I spent many a day in the park, many a day in the Belmont Plateau, I played baseball at 33rd and Dolphin. Never worried about a shooting on the park, in the rec centers. And I would continue to tell you, even though we have these events at the park, our parks are to still continue to be the safest place, like our rec centers and our schools. I know there's concerns about the Roots Picnic and Roots Picnic this weekend. We've always put a significant, it's different when you have an unprovoked, unscheduled, unplanned event, as we did this morning or last overnight. But we're going to the Roots with significant planning. Giselle Jones here, who oversees that work. We work collectively with her team to make sure that we have a significant deployment. We will take a look at our deployment and possibly do some additional enhancements. But the Roots Picnic has been a family event. It's been a safe event, and we feel confident. We're confident. I don't feel confident. We're confident that it'll be that way. I know there's going to be some concerns around FIFA for next year and being at Lemon Hill. We're going through a very comprehensive plan as it relates to that. Again, that will be a very structured, organized an event with a lot of strategies in place to avoid any of this negative behavior. And to the final point the mayor raised around our federal partners, we are now working as a result of this incident last night. Commissioner Bennour, who runs over all the investigations, is working with our federal partners, the FBI, ATF, our marshals. It is a full court press to address the issues that happened last night. You heard the mayor say, I talked to my SWAT team. We're pretty confident, even though we don't have the weapon in hand, that a switch was involved. You cannot fire that many levels of bullets with such speed and time without it having some type of switch on it. That continues to be an issue for us in the city of Philadelphia. But as the mayor indicated, my men and women are continuing to go out there and make those arrests to take those guns off the street. So I'll stop there and I'll pass over to Adam Gear.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Ongoing this morning, the rapid response protocol from the Office of Public Safety continues in response to last night's incident. The following city services, primarily through our office being engaged now, are our Community Crisis Intervention Program. They are the lead for direct engagement for those affected, including the gunshot victims. The team is actively assessing the risk of retaliatory violence and intervening when necessary. In addition, they work closely with community leaders such as block captains, faith leaders, and stakeholders to support stabilization efforts and identify urgent needs in the neighborhood. We have our GVI team and our GVIJ program, which we launched under this administration. Several of the victims, several of those involved are juveniles. They will be assessed by our team to see if they are appropriate to be brought into that juvenile group violence intervention program. The Philadelphia Police Department Office of the Victim Advocate, who we work closely with, their VAO officers have provided victim identification and next of kin notification. They're also canvassing the 9th and 22nd districts to identify any other additional victims and assess immediate needs and impacted communities. Our Office of the Victim Advocate has provided direct crime scene cleanup services and is offering both short and long-term housing relocation support to victims and their families. The officer also connects survivors with appropriate resources beyond its internal scope. Amir, who we have here present today, their leadership, upon receiving information from the VAOs, Amir will provide a wide range of needs. These include safety and relocation, access to food, clothing, transportation, support for property damage, as well as counseling and trauma-informed services. Now, while Amir is focused on group gun violence intervention, I'll just have you know they will stop at nothing. They will, if you need help, they will go. They were up there when tragically the plane crashed. Nothing to do with gun violence, but they were up there providing support to our communities. Town Watch Integrated Services is conducting a thorough neighborhood assessment to evaluate the strength of community support systems and identify existing resources and service networks. Faith-Based Affairs, Dr. Mary Palmer, Bishop, from our Office of Safe Neighborhoods, is identifying and engaging local faith-based leaders to promote healing and community solidarity. These leaders help build resilient support networks and offer emotional and spiritual care to those affected. And as the mayor mentioned, our 211 anti-violence hotline, 211 option 2. 211 option 2. Does not matter the time of day, you will get someone live speaking to you who has access and a list of all of the resources. No matter what they are, they will get you in contact and connect you to those services. I want our folks to know that. 211 option 2, do not hesitate. May not be today, may not be 3 days, may not be 3 months until you feel like you need help or someone you know is exhibiting signs that you think they need help, that they are affected by something like this. Call that number and they will provide that resource to you. I want to echo what the mayor said. We are not going back. That's not the group of characters who I've gotten to know, who I'm working with, our community partners, our other city partners. We are not going back. I want the citizens of Philadelphia to know, as the mayor said, we will not be held hostage. This is one individual. They will not be the masters of our fate. They will not control and take hostage not only our physical, right, sense of safety, but also our emotional sense of safety. This one person with a switch who is a coward, who will be arrested by Commissioner and his team and brought before the courts for justice, will not hold this beautiful city hostage emotionally or physically. We will move forward.
Now I'm going to hear from Councilmember Curtis Jones, who is the chair of City Council's Committee on Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, team. Also, Lemon Hill is in my district, in the 4th Councilmanic District. Perceived to be a safe space where people can come and have things like picnics. I want to emphasize, as Chair of Public Safety, is the vast majority of Philadelphians are law-abiding citizens. The vast majority of our young people are law-abiding citizens. This month, you will see thousands of individuals graduate from school, go off to colleges, go off to the military, and do productive things with their life. But for a small minority of folk that view their world as finite and that they can control our space, let me say this to you. As you can hear, there are plenty of programs for you. The right hand of fellowship or the left hand of punishment. This mayor, this team has been proactive like a verb, not a noun. Every time we assemble like this, our mayor does something to move the needle along the line. We have outlawed switches in the city of Philadelphia. We have moved in city council to outlaw poo shiesties, those masks that those predators want to don in order to go hunting. What we are seeing is that more and more of those predators are coming around looking for people in the crowd. They don't care about Mom Moore, who's out there with a picnic basket and a blanket, trying to enjoy the first day officially of summer. We want to send this message to you. We love you, but we love you enough to sit you down. And the things that the plan, that working with City Council and the mayor, that we are not going to concede Lemon Hill. We're not going to concede Belmont Plateau. We are going to fight to keep that safe space for the citizens of Philadelphia. So if you want some help, come on down. But if you don't want help and you persist in your ways, we got space upstate for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. You just reminded me, Councilmember, when we talked about in the park, and we talk about lights and cameras, City of Philadelphia working with the council, comprehensive plan, working on a comprehensive plan to increase the number of lights and cameras in public spaces all across the city of Philadelphia. Why is that? That's a part of the comprehensive prevention, intervention, and enforcement. We know the data in the research Penn conducted that shows that there's a statistically significant difference in the amount of violent crime that takes place in areas that are clean and green and bright. And so we're working to do that all across the city. In addition to that, I was unfortunately just informed that because they found 3 different types of casings, we know that there were 3 shooters thus far. So it is not one. There are 3 different types of casings. So we know that there were 3 shooters. We now want to take any questions. Yes. I'm sorry, where are you from? Okay, Ryan, thanks, dear.
The individuals who were shot, we know at this point, can we say they were targeted, or they just in the area while police were trying to clear them out?
We can't specifically say that they were targeted at this point or not. I mean, we will be able to continue to go through our investigation, but we're not able to tell you at this point till we go through an interview process with all of them to see if they were in fact targeted.
You said there was a number of 2,000 started conversion with adults. Do you know how many people?
Yeah, the numbers have ranged. I mean, I've heard from anywhere from 2 to 3 that some people are saying 900. I think when you get folks into a space, it's hard to determine the exact number. And I don't, so I can't give you a specifically, that number probably ranged throughout the day and then obviously coming down as people are leaving, but I can't give you a pinpoint as to how many people are actually there.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I think, as I heard, I think we've demonstrated as a city when we have these large-scale events, our capacity to be able to meet that charge, whether it be the aftermath of the celebrations, whether it be even as the mayor described, it took 3,400 men and women to pull off the parade, and we brought assets from outside the city to do that. I think we've consistently, year over year, time over time, demonstrated when we have large-scale planned events, we're able to put down a infrastructure, both an internal and external template, to be able to keep those individuals safe. So I would tell folks to look at our record, look at what we've been able to accomplish over the years, be able to do that effectively. We have probably one of the best trained groups of men and women to be able to accomplish that, and I have no doubt that we'll accomplish that moving forward. These events, these surge events that occur are significantly unfortunate, and I know we know that. But because they're unplanned, because we're not able to be able to put the proper assets in place, unfortunately, we get these events. But I am confident that everything that we have planned coming forward and this continue this year and to next year and beyond, we will keep those individuals safe.
Thank you. I want to just follow up on your question because I think it was a good one. Commissioner Bethel talked about sort of the strategies that we employ where we have planned large-scale events. There is no other place that does it better than the city of Philadelphia. But you ring a bell when you talk about these gatherings that where folks converge as a result of a social media message. And it could be in 30 minutes, meet at a certain time, meet at. This is when we ask the parents and the caregivers in the homes to monitor the social media accounts of the young people they are responsible for. That becomes extremely important. Now, if you are a technical dinosaur like me, that may be a difficult thing to do because it's so many different vehicles and outlets and chats and rooms and ways that young people can communicate. If you need help, call 211. Option number 2, I need to make sure I'm concerned about social media. How do I access? It's all right to ask the question. Some people just don't have the answer. It's all right to ask the question. But social media plays a huge role in the impromptu nature of the gathering so that we can't do what we do well. Because, I mean, it's very well known that when there are large-scale events, we understand the assignment. But we have to make sure we use every vehicle at our disposal, and the monitoring of the social media is extremely important. And the only reason why I'm asking those of you who are in the press to identify yourself, because it's been brought to our attention that sometimes we have had some folks asking questions who are not members of the press. Yes.
My team is telling me 21 FCCs were recovered. 3 different, that's correct. we won't get, as we'll go through the investigation, it appears to be that to be the case, but we won't go any further than that. We're still sorting through that. I mean, there are folks out in the park, I mean, those who know that space, it is always occupied by a host of families. So we don't know what happened as it relates to whether it started that way and then the kids just came there. We have to sort through all of that.
Yes.
Commissioner, you talked about three shooters. I believe they came together and all opened fire, or some of the gunfire turned.
We don't know that at this point. I mean, what we do know is the video that was put on social media last night, where you had that rapid fire. We definitely can determine that to be a type of switch for it to automate the weapon.
You mentioned police were there clearing it out. Did officers then pull back and more people showed up? Or are you still there?
Yeah, we were in the acts of clearing it out. We worked with our park team to close the gate. We're actively trying, but from what my team described, because of the folks have now parked their cars all up on the side of the space, so it's a little bit of challenge of clearing it out and getting them out. They did not feel at that point that there was anything nefarious underway. They're just trying to get the crowd out, which is consistent. We do this regularly, whether it be in the plateau. I mean, most recently working with Commissioner Lawson, because the ATVs were going into the plateau. We send our motorbike teams down there. So we're constantly playing this cat and mouse game out in the parks and other places, but 99% of the time it's a safe space. It's a crowd. We're asking them to move out. But we're doing that in a very thoughtful and effective way, right? Where we're not being overly aggressive, because we do have families and folks out there. We're just asking them it's time for them to shut it down and move out of the park.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, say specifically to the park, but that area we do not have cameras.
And then the second is, how close were police nearby? Were they kind of in the park at the time this happened, and how quickly did they respond?
Yeah, from my records, they have about 75 to 100 feet away on the other side of the area where some of the media were parked last night in the roadway. They hear the gunshots, and as a result, they responded, and they started taking those who've been shot to the hospital.
I'm sorry, I need to just respond to that quickly, and I need to say this, because someone somewhere somehow, will say that if, a police officer was 75 feet away, the police department could have stopped this from happening. This is not, it was this random act of violence that occurred in what is normally one of the safest places where families gather in our city. Is not something that the police department could have solely and individually just prevented from happening. So I just want to note that and state that for the record, because we won't police our way out of this alone. That's important to state. Yes, sir.
Well, I think, again, just to echo the words of the mayor, I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking. You're asking, what's your question? I'm not clear. So we have about 5 two-person teams out there, but we're talking about the park, right? I mean, we're talking about individuals engaging in Memorial Day celebration, and so the officers are not we're not there to be aggressive in the regards. We're just trying to pull the crowd down and get folks out of that space. But I don't know if it was about numbers. Clearly, when we look at the area where the shooting occurred, it was very dark, very difficult to see up into that space. And so it would be a challenge, even no matter what we did, it would be a challenge for us in there.
I think the idea is that police are more on the scene, and somebody comes upon the group, and it's still fire. I think that's...
Well, and I hear you. I mean, and those are, and unfortunately, you've covered many of those stories where there's individuals who just don't care. right? I mean, those folks who just don't care. I mean, there was, yes, you would think that when folks knew that police were very close by, even though they weren't on station, that they would not engage in this type of activity. But unfortunately, we live in a space now where they feel that they are not a threat and they're going to still take action. And we've seen that. Hell, we just saw that at Overbrook, where an individual came to the scene with a gun in his pocket, knowing that we had officers right there within 5 feet of the officer, and has somehow discharged that weapon, striking him under his vest. And so we've seen time and time again where individuals do not heed the fact that police are there and still will engage in this behavior. And those are the challenges that we deal with, and those are the challenges we're going to face.
Is there any insight into that question? What sparked the shooting? Was there some sort of feud or fight that you guys flagged?
No, we'll go through it. I mean, listen, we got to remember, when we have this number of people come together, some come, depending on who hosted it, we'll work through that. Maybe just as you remember last year, when we had the incident where the young lady was killed, it was because someone was either jealous of what they were doing. And so when you have that level of convergent behavior, you have conflicts across the city, and now A sees B, unfortunately, is on. And so it could be just that quick of a trigger that I saw the guy who did something to me, he sees me, we both are armed, and we're going to now engage each other. We don't know if there was an exchange of gunfire at this point between the two combatants or what that was, but that's the unfortunate part of this process. It can happen in seconds.
Commissioner, where were you when you found a shotgun
Out
in
in the Westville,
somebody's coat?
we were out in the 12th district, and the officers were, that was doing a parade and event, that we were actually had folks out stage to be able to deploy an event. There was something, in that case, the gentleman had a AR-15 down his side of his body, and the officer was ready to engage them.
This is the last question.
Commissioner, we heard you, the mayor, the director here mention those switches. Is that something you're seeing more of? How difficult is it for your officers?
Yeah, I mean, so this year, I think this year we're seeing a little bit fewer switches than we have in the past years. But unfortunately, when they do engage, the amount of firepower that they can exhaust, I mean, you can go through a magazine in seconds. This is war, right? If you get a chance to listen to the video, that's the sound of war. You know, when you have an automatic weapon that you can empty a magazine, a 20-clip magazine in seconds, it is meant to kill, to create carnage, and to hit as many people as possible. And in this case, you see, it was able to do that. So it's a challenge for us, but we continue to go out and grab these individuals. We oftentimes don't know if they have a switch on them, only when we do make the arrest.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
For everyone who is here for our next meeting, we are going to get the rounds. What time we're scheduled? We'll start our round table in approximately 10 minutes, so we'll give everyone a chance to get the equipment out, but please be patient with us. Thank you so much. We're going to start shortly.
I meant to say one to...
No, that's fine. That's the way.
I was trying to do the story. So I asked if they were there. So I can say like they rushed to the scene or whatever. Maybe the primary switches.
I don't think so.
Oh no, I just wanted to think that that's what.
No, that wasn't.
Okay. Entities.